Hey, ghostly guys and gals, it's Ghost here, and welcome to part 5 of the story of my life. So, when we last left off, I had talked about my psychosis and all that, and how I was thinking about going to another high school, but in the end, I decided to stay, at my old high school. 'Cause I was like, I'll stick with the hell I know. Was that a good idea? I don't really know. Probably not. I mean, it's hard to imagine having a much worse year than I had at the next year. So I think I probably could have had a better year and better experience if I went to the other school, but I don't know. It's like even at the time, even when I was like going through it, I was kind of like, I don't regret the decision. It is what it is. I could have just gone to that school and maybe had like a lot of trouble adjusting coming in as a new junior and stuff, and it would be all difficult or whatever. And, it's not something I really look back on with like a lot of regret. But in any case, it still had an effect. I stayed at the school and some bad stuff happened. So let's get into that. So, I kind of came into my junior year with a more positive attitude. I was like, you know, I'll try to like, not isolate myself so much. I'll get back, try to hang out with my friends again. It was basically for a whole year last year. I was just by myself, not talking to anybody. So, I got back to hang out with my friend group at lunch, and they welcomed me back with open arms. So, that was nice of them, I guess. And I don't really talk with any of them anymore, except for one guy. I kind of got a better relationship with him starting like in junior year, so that was cool at least. He kind of replaced my old friend as my like main best friend, I guess. Best friend. I don't. Best friend is kind of like a strong term. One time, this guy even asked me, "Hey, aren't you guys best friends?" I was like, "No," and I feel kind of bad because the guy got like really offended. My friend got really offended by that. So, yeah, but I mean, it's true in a sense because I feel like I don't know. I feel like I never really had a best friend per se. Um, but anyway, I'm getting off topic. It's just like I don't know. That term "best friend" seems to imply like a lot of things that I just haven't really done with a lot of friends. But anyway, he was my closest friend. We'll go with that. So yeah, we still talk every now and again. I've even seen him like once. We met up after high school, but yeah. In any case, so yeah, that was a good stuff, I guess. Like yeah, my social life was not bad in junior year, I guess. But what was really bad was academics. So all the voices were gone and stuff, and that psychosis stuff, the Abilify was doing its stuff, and I wasn't having any problems with that anymore. But I was having a lot of problems with depression symptoms still, and that continues to this day. But sometimes it gets better, sometimes it gets worse, and usually there's something that is there to trigger it. And well, this time it was school, and I just hated most of my classes, and I still hated most of the kids at school, and I just hated to see them all the time. So I was always like upset and angry and stuff. I wasn't beating myself up as much about hating people as I was when I was having the psychotic episode, but even so, it was still just so annoying to be around all these people that I really didn't like. Um, and yeah, so that was tough, but there was a lot of subjects that were really hard for me. Two in particular were very tough, and that was chemistry and English. Now, English wasn't so bad at the beginning of the year, but it got really hard later. We had to write a lot of really hard essays. Like, we had to write an essay about Shakespeare, and I hate Shakespeare. It was like so boring. It was about Macbeth. I hated it. I basically had to, my sister write the whole thing for me because I could barely do anything. Um, I hated just like we had to write these stupid argumentative essays. I was really bad at them. I've always been really bad at like persuasive essays and that sort of thing. Um, and we had to do this like big research paper, and that was super hard. And I barely did any of the work for that. But yeah, and in chemistry, I was just really bad at it. I didn't understand anything that was going on ever. I feel like my teacher wasn't bad. I just feel like, first of all, it's just a hard subject for me. Second of all, it's a boring subject for me. And third of all, I had very little motivation. So I was just kind of like, I was not putting anywhere near the amount of work I probably should have been putting into that class. And really, all my classes. But it's just that these two classes in particular were hard to keep up because you need to put a lot more work into them, at least for me. Like for other classes, like for my Spanish class, civics class, religion class, those were like pretty easy for me. And like even if I didn't do the homework or whatever, I just was able to pay attention in class and then do well on all the quizzes and tests, and then my grade would just be bumped up by that, even though I didn't do any of the homework or whatever. But junior year, I basically did no homework. I mean, sophomore year, I did my homework every now and again. I mean, latter half the year, I wasn't doing it as much. But junior year, I was not taking school seriously at all. I was like not doing anything basically. I don't want to say I was doing stuff. I was doing homework here and there, but every now and again I have a spurt of motivation, maybe for a week, and I would do my homework assignments, but then for like 5 weeks I would do nothing. You know, so my grades obviously suffered a lot, especially in chemistry and English. And eventually I was just kind of like, you know what, screw school. I just want to drop out. I want to drop out of school. And I had this idea at the time that I wanted to become a professional poker player. I know that sounds crazy and stuff, but I'd gotten into playing poker online, like on apps and stuff with play money. It wasn't like I was playing with real money or anything, but I was playing with play money online and stuff, and I got really into it. And I was playing poker all the time. Like one day I played poker for like 13 hours straight, so I was really into it, and I think I became a pretty decent player. I mean, I think I'm decent still. I just probably forgot a lot of the, you know, stuff I'd learned. And I was like, yeah, I want to do this. Basically, my plan was I want to drop out of school and I want to get a, job for a bit. And then I want to move to Florida when I turn 18, get a part-time job there and try to become a pro poker player. And the reason Florida is because Florida has, it's like relatively close to where I live. Well, compared to other states anyway. And, you only have to be 18 there to play poker in a casino. So, but in Louisiana, you have to be 21. So I was like, okay, I can start making money sooner, and I can just move out when I'm 18 and, So basically, I looked it up recently and it said Louisiana law says you have to stay in high school till you're 18. But it's really weird because I really remember it being that it was 17. So they might have changed the law or something since when I was in high school, or maybe I was just wrong or something. But I remember I was like, okay, I'm going to turn 17 and then I want to drop out and I want to get a job. And yeah. And my mom at first was like, okay, you can drop out. But then she rescinded her offer of dropping out, I guess. And I was really mad about that. And I mean, it was probably for the best. But yeah, I wanted to drop out and stuff, and she wouldn't let me. And yeah. And like, I began to realize though that poker probably wasn't a viable source of income for me because, I was playing a lot, putting a lot of hours into poker and stuff. And then I realized, like, yeah, I'm decent, but I keep losing more than I win. And I was like, this isn't good. Like, if I actually had to go and make a living off poker, I wouldn't be able to survive. So I was like, dang it, what am I going to do? And then, I had this dream that I won the lottery. And basically, I fell into this weird delusional state where I thought I was destined to win the lottery. I don't even know how that happened. I was on the antipsychotics and I wasn't hearing voices or anything, but it was like something that would have happened if I was still in the psychosis. I don't know. Maybe it's just some weird way of coping because I felt like, oh, if I win the lottery, everything will be okay, so I don't have to worry about anything. And I think it did help me cope in a way. This weird delusion of me, I'm just gonna win the lottery. And you might be like, well, you were only like 16 or 17. How would you buy the tickets or whatever? And that's true. And basically, I just got my sister to buy the tickets for me. Like I would just give her the money because I had a few dollars from birthdays and Christmas and all that sort of thing. So I would be like, okay, here, Emily, that's my sister. Here, Emily, give me I'm gonna give you some money. You go buy the tickets for me, and I would even like write out the numbers, and she would go and buy them for me. And yeah, but I didn't win the lottery, but I mean, I remember like there was like a record, like I think like it broke the record, like the lottery's over $1 billion or something. I was like, oh my gosh, it really is destined. Like this has to be like destiny. I'm going to win when it's like a record, and it's gonna be I'm gonna not I can drop out of school. I don't have to worry about anything for the rest of my life. And then some lady in Wisconsin won the lottery, and yeah, basically I was just like my bubble was burst, and I was like, what now? I mean, I guess I could have still entered the lottery, but it's a lot less than $1 billion or whatever the heck it was. And I just kind of felt like it's not going to happen. What am I thinking? Why am I kidding myself into thinking I'm going to be sipping on champagne on a yacht or whatever, you know? So, yeah, I kind of lost a lot of hope then, and things were pretty bad. And I don't remember when like I first tried to kill myself. I did a few suicide attempts previously, and I've been self-harming for like about a year at this point. Like I would self-harm later in life too, but it was for different reasons. I don't really self-harm now as much, and I honestly I don't self I've never self-harm as much as some other people. But at the time I was always angry at myself. I just wanted myself to feel pain because I hated myself. I just wanted to make myself suffer and punish myself in some way. So like I took a knife from the kitchen, I hid it in my room, and I always like cut my arms and legs and back and chest and all this stuff. And like I think a few times I was really, I don't remember if it was junior year, sophomore year, whatever, but I tried to like slit my wrist with the knife, but it wasn't like sharp enough probably to do it anyway. And even if you have a sharp knife, I hear it's pretty painful and hard to do and stuff. And I didn't do any research into it. I just kind of was like spur of the moment trying to kill myself and stuff. And yeah, and junior year, this was in junior year, I remember. I took like a whole bottle of melatonin in an attempt to kill myself because I was hoping, if you don't know what melatonin is, it's like a sleep aid. And I was hoping that if I just took the whole thing, I would just basically go into a coma and sleep forever. Because I was taking melatonin all the time back then because I didn't want to be awake because I just wanted to be as close to dead as possible. So I would always take melatonin at like 5 p.m., like right after I got home from school, and like I would go to sleep at 7 every day. So yeah, but I was sleeping a lot back then. But anyway, so yeah, I had like a bunch of melatonin by my bed, and I was just like hating life, and I was just like, yeah, let me take this whole bottle and see what happens. And come to find out, melatonin is actually like pretty harmless. I like took the whole bottle basically, and I didn't even fall. I didn't even feel sleepy. It didn't do anything. So those attempts happened, but I feel like I don't know the first big attempt I kind of made big. Well, I guess it's just big because it resulted in some consequences. Um, happened like in April. It was April of my junior year. So this was April 2019. I was 17 years old, and I had like a really bad day at school. Like every day was pretty bad, but this day in particular, I don't remember what happened, but for whatever reason, it was just a very bad day. And I was just like, oh, I just want to go home and sleep. But then I got, in the car, and immediately my mom just starts yelling at me about some stupid math homework that I had missed. So like, thankfully, you would think that I would be doing worse in math since I wasn't doing anything in my junior year, basically. But thankfully, the teacher was very, very chill, and I literally got a zero on a test. Like I got everything wrong. I should have gotten a zero. But he did these weird like curves where like he would curve the grade, but it would make no sense. Like it would be like, yeah, I got a zero, but then for some reason I got a B. And I'd be like, I'll take it, but what? What? I got a zero. Anyway, yeah. So I really should have been failing his class, but he didn't. He was pretty. Like he was just so chill about stuff, and you probably couldn't fail his class if you tried. the thing was that he never used to check homework, and he would assign homework, I guess if you're a good student, you want to, practice for the tests and whatever. So he would give homework, but he would never check it. But then I guess maybe somebody in the math department got on him for like not checking homework, or maybe like, he was just being too lax about everything, or maybe it was just him himself. He's like, everybody's not doing it, like everybody was doing bad maybe, and he was just like, I needed to help these kids like raise their grades, so I'm going to start checking work so they actually do the stuff. So anyway, he started checking the work, and of course I still didn't do it because I didn't do it in work classes where they did check it, and I never done it all year because he never checked it anyway. So yeah, but even with me not doing the homeworks, like I said, it was not something to worry about probably for that class. But my mom saw on like the parent portal where like you can check your kids' grades and stuff. She saw I was missing these homeworks or whatever, and she was all up, like bent out of shape about it. And was yelling at me about it, and I was just like, Mom, it's really not that big a deal. I told her that this teacher, he's not really like that strict about grades and such, and it probably wouldn't be that bad. If she was yelling at me about chemistry or English, I'd understand it a bit more. I was doing really bad in those classes, and I really have no idea how I didn't fail them. Like I managed, like I think I failed them both. I think like once in the quarter, like in the year, but like in a quarter, but like I never got a failing semester grade, and like at the end of the year, my final grade was up, passed. They were D's, but it was a pass. I don't know how that happened. They think they might have had an idea about my mental state, because I eventually they kind of found out about my mental stuff, because I ended up going to the hospital and stuff, and I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, so maybe they just felt guilty or sad or whatever, and they gave me a few pity points, and I ended up passing. But anyway, so my mom was yelling at me, and she was like, you need to get your act together. If you don't get your act together, you're never going to amount to anything. And that really broke my heart. And I was like, she's right. I mean, she didn't exactly say you'll never amount to anything, but she said if you keep going down this path, you'll never amount to anything. And I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to improve, so I'm never going to amount to anything. What's the point, And I was crying, and I was really upset, and I was just like, I don't want to be alive anymore. So we got home, and she kind of went off to do her own thing or whatever. And I grabbed the Tide Pod out of the laundry room, and I got a toothpick and popped a hole in it, put the juices in the like a cup, and I I was like, I'm gonna drink this, and hopefully it'll kill me. And it was like all really impulsive. I didn't do any research or anything. I just kind of was like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself, and I'm gonna do it with this Tide Pod. But it tasted disgusting. It was one of the worst things I ever tasted, and I couldn't really swallow all of it, and I just ended up coughing a lot, and I was like, over the sink and stuff, and almost throwing up. And obviously, this caught the attention of my sister. So yeah, my sister came in, and she saw me with the poison and everything, and she got my mom, and my mom was like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?" And yeah. So she called poison control, and they were like, he'll probably be okay, but you should take him to the ER just to be sure. And also, he needs to go to the ER because he needs to have emergency psychiatric care and stuff. And I was just like, okay, let's do this. And yeah. And I'll pick this up in the next video. I'll talk about my experience being committed to the hospital and all that in the next one. So, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next one. Bye.